this year we've created a new award. It's the International Media Award, and it goes to Bruce Hill for Pacific Beat, which is a programme put out by the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. ABC's international service broadcasts across the Pacific Rim. Bruce has to interview guests from area development agencies and international charities who often use their own peculiar jargon. And he's decided that enough is enough. Every time he's on the receiving end of some obscure jargon or gobbledygook, Bruce lets rip with a hooter that he keeps to hand. He then asks his guests to explain themselves properly. He combines this with precise, direct questioning and an obvious commitment to clarity in public service broadcasting. And he's a deserving winner of this new award, and I know he'd like to say a few words. So, Bruce, please. Bruce Hill.
Everybody come clap your hands. Or don't you know when you dance, you've got to smile or you can't cry. Try it a while, you'll be surprised. Baby, it's a rock and roll music. I said, I can't you hear that music? Well, alright, alright, well, alright, alright, alright now. Alright. Yeah, yeah. Try the monkey is something new. Well, I don't care.
G'day, I'm from Australia and my name's Bruce. Was that a joke? And I didn't come halfway across the planet to not give a speech. Thank you very much. This is a tremendous honour. It's certainly gratifying to receive positive feedback in formal accolade form, indicating that my proactive efforts to eschew obfuscatory verbiage have met with success, thereby leveraging my customer-focused, mission-critical synergies on a going-forward basis to achieve maximum buy-in from key stakeholders at the macro-international level. After so many years spent dealing with this sort of nonsense, you can slip into it with disturbing ease. For many reporters, the easiest thing to do is to simply go along with jargon, management speak and governmental gibberish. It happens more often than we care to admit. You're interviewing someone important, he drops all these big words into the conversation. You don't want to look like a twit. So you nod wisely and look thoughtful and ask follow-up questions like, but will the failure to agree on medium to long-term capacity-building targets have an impact on human infrastructure development priorities, Minister? You might feel like a member of the club who knows the code, but in fact you're doing disservice to the one person you're supposed to be working for. No, not Rupert Murdoch, although the way we're going, we'll all be working for him eventually. No, it's the reader, the listener and the viewer. And with my job in particular, it's all the more important to bear that responsibility in mind because I cover the South Pacific, and for many of my listeners, English is very much their second language. It's bad enough having to learn English in the first place without then having to endure the agony of listening to it, getting mangled into some sort of incomprehensible newspeak. It's about time that journalists turned themselves around and represented their audiences properly by saying, I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Very Important Official, but I do have to point out with the very greatest of respect that you're talking incomprehensible bollocks. Please stop it. Are you with me? Well, I've tried it and it seems to be working. I realise there's no empire anymore and you chaps seem to have put away that pink crayon you used to colour in so much of the map over the last few hundred years. But a huge chunk of the planet now speaks English, for a very similar reason that most of Europe 1500 years ago used to speak Latin. A, the world needs a lingua franca that pretty much anyone can use to speak to everyone else, and B, back in the old days, if you didn't speak Latin, someone would drop round sometime the next week to kill you. Wonderful people, the Romans, you had to hand it to them. If you didn't, they sent teams of men to come and take it away anyway. Well, nowadays, there is no compulsion in language. There's no coercion about speaking English, but it's dead sexy and it's spreading across the globe. It's the international language and its influence is everywhere. Even where I live in Australia, we speak a language that trained philologists believe bears some striking similarities to English. But if we let English be corrupted from within with jargon, management speak, double Dutch, and my personal least favourite phenomenon, which I call when acronyms attack, then it puts the prestige of the language and its usefulness in danger. So let's stop the rot starting now. Finally, as an Australian who is also a New Zealander, that's where I was born and brought up, I'd like to respond to being given this award by, as an Australian, pretending that I don't need to be told how to speak English by a bunch of poms, while as a New Zealander, tugging my forelock and apologising for not going through sheep dip for coming up to Big House like Squire told us. Thank you very much for this award, and could we please have Rolf Harris back?